What's happening, Go listeners? It's Scott once again. This week, Zack, CB, and I talk about our backlogs, why we give up on games, and how we tackle the ones we've never finished. In news, it looks like the online stores for PS3, Vita, and PSP will be closing soon, and also Jade Raymond starts a new studio. New games discussed include Doctor Who: The Lonely Assassins, which Alyssa calls the best game in the Doctor Who universe. Kevin also stops by to talk about a roguelike on PC called Derelict Void. Enjoy the show, guys. This is The Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to episode 338 of The Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community. It's Monday, March 22nd. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me are my friends, Mr. Zack Parkerson.
Well, how do you do?
I'm doing all right. And Chris Behrensmeyer.
I'm back.
You are back. We missed you, man.
Yeah, I didn't miss you.
Oh, well, okay. Well,
that works out because we were thinking about replacing you with Alyssa.
we were,
Go
actually.
figure.
Yeah, we've been talking about it all week. Like, hey, maybe we should...
See? I knew you guys hated me.
No, we had a really good time with Alyssa last week. She was a lot of fun to talk to. So, you know where else we missed you, CB? Was when we sat down and played Killer Queen Black with the community on Saturday night. Were you working?
Yeah. No, I was not working. I had some home stuff that I had to take care of that night. So.
Gotcha. Well, you missed out. We played with Kevin. We played with our producer, Nate. We played with Nasty Nate from the community. And we also played with Mike and Taylor, a couple friends of mine. It was a good time, Zach, wasn't it?
Well, first of all, Logan was there too.
Oh, Logan was there. He wasn't talking, so it's easy to forget that he was there.
No, yeah, it was cool that we got a full team situation happening based on how short the notice was.
Well, and then because I jacked up the date the first time, I was actually out of town on Friday night when I made the post, and I meant to say for Saturday night, and the way I worded it made it sound like it was that night. So people were showing up on Friday night, and I made a mistake. But yeah,
big boo boo. Yeah, Killer Queen Black's awesome. I was excited to finally have a chance to use the version I bought many months ago, but I'm not just going to go online and play Killer Queen Black with randos.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Sounds miserable.
By the way, it is so much easier to set up games on Xbox than it was on Switch. You back me up on that? Because you played last time, right? Oh no. We played once where we did it on Switch. It was it was Nate, and Nate was there. And
it looked the same. I understand.
You do, yeah. He has a beard. No, it was just very frustrating to get an online game set up. Number one, everybody has to have that online system, which hardly anybody has. So a lot of us were getting like a temporary one or a trial period one just to be able to play that night.
Was crossplay a thing back then?
I don't think so. Well, it wasn't.
So maybe that's what made it easier.
It wasn't on Xbox back then. I don't think it. Okay. I think it was only on Switch. Maybe PC, but I think you could do crossplay there. But yeah, so we had people on Xbox, we had people on Switch, we had people on PC, all of us playing together. You just basically get a room code, kind of like in Among Us. Everybody gets in a room, and the really cool thing is that it just has a randomizer. So instead of picking teams, you can just press this randomizer, and it just automatically places people on either sides, places one person as a queen, and that was just kind of fun to do that, I thought.
Yeah, I think that it's key for that game because queen's a lot of pressure. I don't think I'm going to volunteer to be the queen, but I don't mind being the queen.
It's fun being the queen. You and I had a pretty good strategy going there for a while with the berries.
Yeah, where I was grabbing the berries, I was throwing them to you, and then you were inserting them. Those were smart.
It was really smart because, and I feel like that's an underutilized strategy if you're going to try to take an economic victory. People that have not played Killer Queen Black have no idea what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, but the problem with Killer Queen Black is it's kind of too complicated to succinctly discuss.
Yeah. Just you need to play Killer Queen Black. If you've not played the arcade game, it is super fun, and come play with us because we had 4-on-4 for a good amount of the night, and I think we dropped down to 3-on-3, and still it was working great. So,
and I'm not a multiplayer guy, and I'm all about Killer Queen Black.
Yeah, it's
great,
so much fun. We need to do that again, and I want to play some Carcassonne. I was talking about that before we left that night.
Yeah, you got a hankering for it.
I do have a hankering. I used to play that with Chad all the time back when I was staying up till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning like he does. Carcassonne is a lot of fun, but it's one of those games that's vastly different when you play it with more people than 2. I mean, that's like any board game, I suppose, but I really want to see how crazy that game gets when you're playing with 4 or 5 people.
Yeah, Carcassonne's great with people. That's how I bonded with my aunt, who I didn't meet until I was in my 20s.
Yeah?
it was like super awkward, or maybe almost 20s or something. But anyway, she not a gamer, but was way into Carcassonne.
Were you playing the physical version or the?
Oh, playing the 360 version.
Oh, nice.
Because she lived elsewhere. Yeah, it was like me, her, my uncle, and my girlfriend at the time. We all like play Carcassonne online together. It was a lot of fun.
That's cool.
Like a lot of it, like a disgusting amount of Carcassonne.
So good. And that's one you probably could play locally too, because it's not like your hand is hidden or anything.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just like whatever card pops up is when you got to play.
I don't want to play it, the physical version, because I don't want to do the math.
Seriously, that's like the best part about Carcassonne Online is you don't have to like tally anything up. It does it all for you and cleans up the board, because that is not a fun game to put away.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Played it once in person, I was like, no, better.
Right.
This is perhaps the only board game that is better digitally. One of the few.
Ticket to Ride?
Never played it.
No, I don't like Ticket to Ride, but it's better digitally than it is in person. CB, you've been gone for a week. What have you been catching up on?
I'm on an Oculus kick again.
All right.
I found a game that I did not know, and I fell in love with very quickly, called Freediver Triton Down.
All right.
Are you going to Atlantis with Ariel and her father?
No.
Wrong Triton.
Essentially, this is the Poseidon Adventure.
Oh, okay.
So
you're talking about like the cruise ship that like capsizes and everybody's trapped inside?
Yeah, you are. There's like a little quick tutorial in the beginning where you like figure out how the mechanics of the game work.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, the majority of the game takes place in a wrecked ship that you're trying to escape from.
And it's all in VR.
All in VR. So you actually have to like make swimming motions to like go forward, backward, up, down, turn, interact with the environment. I'm having an absolute blast with it. It is, if you are afraid of underwater or claustrophobic spaces or the dark, don't play this.
All right.
Because it is intense.
Or maybe do play it. It could be a safe way to try to get over your fear.
Yes, but the VR does do a very good job on basically tricking your brain, because I scuba dive. And I found myself at times like holding my breath, trying to make it from one air pocket to the other.
Oh, really?
like not even thinking about it. I'm sitting here like, okay, swim faster.
I do that in movies. Whenever I see anybody go underwater, I instinctively hold my breath to see if I can hold my breath for as long as they are. I don't even think about it. But you're saying this game makes you do that?
Oh yeah, instinct. Like you are a free diver, so you don't have tanks either.
Oh, okay.
In this game, so you occasionally you'll find like an oxygen tank with like a mouthpiece on it, and you have to like pick it up and breathe.
You just randomly find these like in the ocean?
Well, it's a video game.
No, in the ship, like there'll be like oxygen tanks because you work as a free diver.
Oh, okay.
And so there'll be like an oxygen tank tipped in, there'll be like the face mask. So you actually have to like pick it up in the game and like hold it to your face.
That's so cool.
That is cool, but it sounds stressful.
I like stressful games.
Apparently.
Yeah, man. Come on. Those are the best kind of games. So, I always feel like such a complete fool when I play VR because I get tricked. Remember that Spider-Man VR game they put out for Far From Home, where you could actually swing around New York on PSVR? And I would remember like the first time I jumped off a skyscraper, I would like crash into my entertainment center.
Did you really?
I jumped off the building and like you feel like they do such a good, with the wind sound effects and everything.
Uh-huh.
I was like reaching for something to grab onto.
Huh.
Yeah, I felt ridiculous.
I really wish there was video footage of that.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Yeah.
You're lucky I shared the story at all.
I also brought it with me to work. One of my coworkers has an immense fear of heights.
Oh, please tell me you played the plank game.
Oh, yes, we played Richie's Plank Experience.
Yeah.
And I didn't tell them what the game was. And I'm like, oh, yeah, get in the elevator, push the button. Went up and they saw the plank. And immediately they started like backing up. Like just like a legitimate reaction. And they were like terrified. And I'm like,
hey,
it's okay. You're standing on solid ground, and like almost pulled off my Oculus, like freaking out.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, it does Oculus is a phenomenal job at tricking your brain.
Well, they do the little sound effects of like the board snapping really makes you
Yes.
feel like that's pretty freaky. The sound really does play it.
Yeah, sound design is everything in VR.
Mm-hmm. And the Oculus is nice because it feels 3D. Like it feels like stuff is happening behind you or below you. It's really great. Anyway, Zach, what have you been catching up this week?
Well, as we're going to discuss later on the show, it was a bit of a backlog week for me.
Yeah, me too.
First of all, I've been playing Rogue Jack, a little bit of it.
A little bit of it.
A mobile game you recommended. You say so it's I think we talked about last week. It's a dungeon crawler, but you use blackjack as combat, which sounds incredible.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I've done like 5 runs or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And every time I've gotten the skill where it just shows you what the next card is.
Right.
Which kills all the fun for me.
Well, it gets more and more difficult. It's basically that's how your skills are making the blackjack game easier. Because if it's just straight blackjack, the house always wins, right?
But what's the risk reward of hitting then? Because I always know what the next card is. So it doesn't feel like it feels like the game's playing itself because the cards are already predetermined, right? Like
right, but you don't
my
always know. There's a certain percentage chance that some cards will be face up and some will be face down. So it's always it's always random.
I mean, I'm telling you, I've never past the first 10 minutes, I've never not known what the next card was.
You've never had any cards hidden?
For the first 5 or 10 minutes they were, and then after that they've always been face up every time. Which is not fun.
I have not had that experience.
Yeah. Maybe I got to reset my cache or something.
I don't know.
maybe I got a freaky bizarre glitch, but like I'm playing this, I'm just like, where is the tension here? If I never know what the next card, why do I ever care about hitting,
Well, because you can only get hit like 3 times at the beginning and it's game over.
I'm just saying, like, it sounds like something happened with my runs.
It does sound like it because I'm several runs through it. I'm like a level 8 character or something like that, and I'm still seeing cards face down.
Maybe I'll delete it and reset it or something.
I'd be interested. I'd be intrigued. I just really like it's just such a great little time waster. Like if you got 5-10 minutes, just do it.
Yeah, no, I mean it seems perfect for that. It's just I want to play a game that my input doesn't matter at all,
No, I understand, and that's how blackjack works. But for me, it was the beginning. It was the cards were hidden, and then I started earning. I could see 1 or 2 of the cards. Like where I'm at now, I'm actually seeing 3 available cards, and oftentimes all 3 are face down.
I'll have to try it again.
Yeah,
Then I have finished playing the storyline of Mortal Kombat X.
All right.
As I am freaking jazzed for that movie, man. So I'm trying to catch up on my Mortal Kombats.
I read an article that somebody saw a preview of it and said that it's like Bambi compared to the games in terms of violence, which seems hyperbolic to me.
Yeah.
But
well, I don't even know how that would conflict. With the trailer alone was pretty non-Bambi.
Right.
True, but compared to like the modern versions of Mortal Kombat where it's like constant blood and X-ray shots.
To be honest, I don't want that.
I don't either in a movie. But
right.
I can understand where they're coming from, saying like, oh, it's like Bambi compared to the modern versions of Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I don't need to see an X-ray of somebody's testicles getting like
it's like
squished.
Even as I'm playing through Mortal Kombat X here, like there's definitely you do an X-ray move. You're like, well, I just shot that dude's eyeball, but you gotta, like you have to put aside so much silliness in order to enjoy it. That I definitely don't want that kind of stuff in the movie.
Right.
I want blood.
Yeah, there will be blood.
I can't imagine. There'll be frozen blood. The trailer is.
Yeah, that's so cool, man. I can't get over it. Yeah, so I gotta play Mortal Kombat 11, but that is more expensive.
I'm terrible at fighting games in general.
Yeah, it was a harsh reminder that I suck at these games playing through that campaign.
Yeah, at least the campaign you don't feel as bad.
I do, man. I'm losing to the bots on normal every now and again. I am terrible at fighting games.
Me too.
Awful. And then I set up my Xbox so I could watch CW shows. Finally, I've been Xbox-less for a while, and so I started playing Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that game's awesome.
Still holds up?
Let me tell you, it sure does. I don't know if everyone would agree with the combat system holding up, but I thought it was kind of refreshing, honestly. Because they kind of like turn-based real-time fusion thing they're doing,
Mm-hmm.
where you are taking turns, but it plays out as though it's in real time. It's just really good. I don't know.
I could not wrap my head around it when I was younger, but it's been 20 years since I played it, so.
Well, now you play D&D. It's based on a D&D.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, there's dice rolls happening behind the... All your dice rolls are invisible, but it's a D&D rule set.
Huh. Did not know that.
So isn't that exciting?
Does it actually say anything like, oh, I just rolled a crit 20 or something?
I think you could turn it on.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool.
But I would never turn that on. But like if you go into the menus and stuff, it says like it'll do like D6, D20. Like it'll tell you which dice it's rolling for you behind the scenes.
See, I would totally show it, man, because if you played D&D with me, CB will tell you, I love to roll dice.
That's all he wants to do.
Whenever Kevin says, I need someone to roll for initiative or roll for whatever, I'm like, I'll do it. I stand up and I get my dice ready. I love rolling dice.
You're a gambling man.
Not even gambling. I just like the chance aspect of it.
Yeah,
I love battles for that reason. I just love it.
Okay. Yeah, hey man, you should probably check out KOTOR.
Maybe.
After all this time. Then lastly, I finally decided to play Vampire, which is my backlog for ages.
CB, you played that back in the day when it released, didn't you?
Yeah, it's currently still in my uncompleted backlog.
You picked a good list of games to talk about backlogs this week, guys.
Yeah, I was debating between Greedfall or Vampire on what to play. And I created a character in Greedfall, but then decided, I was like, you know what, though? I kind of want that supernatural flavor.
All right.
And I may as well play this one Don't Nod game I haven't played or whatever. And it's cool. I don't know, the combat is super wonky and is a pretty great reminder of why Don't Nod only makes adventure games now.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think they can do the rest of it very well. And I think they know that too. Because all the story stuff and decisions making is really great in Vampire, but it's just not.
I will wholeheartedly agree with you.
The combat is in the way.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then I continue. I'm still slowly playing through Star Renegade. So I was all over the board this week.
I'm happy for you. I was not all over the board this week. It was I'm on break now, so I actually have a little bit more time to play some games. But today I was doing some catching up on my writing, so I actually didn't turn on a console. But last day of school before spring break, my students begged me to play a game with them. So against my better judgment, I downloaded a Roblox. Which,
wow.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with Roblox at all, but they were just obsessed with it and wanted me to build a character. And all right, so let's do this. And they dump me into this world. It's a 3D world, and you just go around and just hang out. That's like all you did in this. It was like a virtual world, and we went to one of the kids' houses, and we hung out there, and then we went to the grocery store. I apparently stole some Doritos. Dude, I have no idea what Roblox is. It's apparently like 9,000 games built into there. It's all like community-driven built things. And
wait, isn't it a little bit like Minecraft? You can just make whatever you want.
There was but possibly if it's there, I have no idea how to do it. I have no clue. I was just playing games that were either created by the company or created by users, like what you're talking about.
My only Roblox interaction was watching a YouTube video of someone made like a Green Lantern museum in Roblox, and they were touring it. They also sounded like they were 7 years old. It was kind of adorable.
But
that's my only Roblox interaction.
I don't know. I guess it's a thing. Even when I was in my teens or whatever, I played a game I needed to have some purpose. That's kind of why I never got into Minecraft, because I love building Legos and stuff when I was a kid, but I love building stuff in Legos and then doing something with it. Like using my imagination to make something happen. This just feels like just a way to interact and hang out with your friends and just do silly things like pick each other up, and I don't know. It just was not for me.
Maybe you're old. You don't have the imagination anymore.
Maybe. That's quite possibly what it was, and it made me feel bad considering that as I was playing it. I'm like, I probably would have geeked out like crazy when I was a kid over this.
Yeah, I hate that feeling makes me so sad as an adult.
Yeah, it really
Where I'm
does.
like, man, if I was 20 years younger, this would be the best thing in the world.
Right. As for everything else, it's been a slow week for gaming for me. But now that I'm on vacation, I actually put to the community a list of games that are in my backlog and said, which one do you guys think I should play next? And I'm not going to say unanimously, but the overwhelming majority said that Immortals Phoenix Rising should be the game that I pick up. So I intend to start that at some point tomorrow after I finish Spec Ops: The Line, which is going to be the first thing that I tackle. So more on that in the future. Hopefully, I'm really looking forward to enjoying that one because everyone has just been raving about that one. But Cyberpunk I also want to play.
Oh man,
Just there's so many games I
you're
want to play.
part of the problem, man.
I know. But that's what we've been catching up on. Let's go ahead and jump now into the week's news. Quite a bit to talk about this week. First off, some trailers. A game called Clang 2 on PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch in sometime later this year. Before Your Eyes releases on Steam on April 8th. Actually, Alyssa is going to be reviewing that game for us. Where the Heart Leads releases on PlayStation on July 13th. Dying Light 2 has an update where basically they told us that they're going to get some more information on that game this month, so it's not dead, like a lot of people were speculating. We got a new trailer for Scarlet Nexus, which is going to release on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC on June 25th. And we also got a trailer for a game called Necromunda Hired Gun, which releases on June 1st, Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. As far as news items, Gotham Knights has been officially delayed to 2022. We had Square Enix Presents live stream that took place on March 18th this week. Lots of new announcements there to talk about. Some new games coming to Game Pass. And Jade Raymond has founded a new development studio. I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about that. And lastly, the PS3, Vita, and PSP digital online stores look to be closing in the near future. CB, lots to unpack here. Where would you like to start?
First, I'd like to kind of start with the PS3, Vita, and PSP digital storefront shutting down.
Yeah, we just got this news
physical,
today.
baby. Go physical.
Yeah. This is actually kind of sad for me because I hate when these close down because prices tend to skyrocket for physical.
Yeah, that was going to be my question. You got to start, we're talking like July that this is going to happen. So you got now to July to start picking up these games?
It's already started.
Has it?
Yeah. Unfortunately, when the $600 stimulus happened, prices started skyrocketing, and with the new stimulus, they've gotten out of hand.
Man, the in the comic book collecting circles, it's the same way with this $1,400 stimulus. Everything is just all the prices have inflated hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Let's put it this way: I watched a copy of Little Samson sell yesterday for over $2,000.
Oh my god! I'm never going to get that game.
Stimulus desperately needed to keep food on the table.
Right.
Yeah. And the worst part about this is my 3 weakest collections are PS3, Vita, and PSP. It's super disheartening. And the biggest problem with it is because a lot of the PS3, PSP, and Vita games all had like download content later on. All these physical copies don't have that. So once it's gone, it's gone.
Right. That's a great, because PS DLC really came into its its own in that generation.
Yeah. Luckily, some companies like Limited Run Games are still pressing some of these games, like PS3 and Vita. I don't think anybody's touched PSP in forever. But
that brings up a question of video game preservation. Because, if some of this stuff is only available digitally, like you're talking, there's got to be some way to preserve that, right?
Well, a lot of people are doing like ROMs and everything, but when you're talking games and file sizes this large, that's insane.
Right. So are you gonna try to tackle this, or are you just gonna wait for the inevitable drop at some point? It's gonna have to drop again, right?
I'm picking up some of the cheaper things. I mean, if I see something that I know is going to be like harder to find, like if I come across it, I'm gonna pick it up. but I'm not actively seeking this stuff out at the moment just because I know prices are inflated. Luckily, PS3 and PSP are still kind of down, but Vita has been hard to find for a long time anyways.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the last time I've went into stores and actually saw complete inbox Vita games. Like even at like Disc Replay or some of the other places that I go to. They're actually fairly hard to come by.
Gotcha.
So it makes me sad. Plus PS3 and like PSP cases do take up a lot of room. They're tall. Like Vita games, luckily, like I can stash those in like cubby holes.
PS3s they're not as tall as like a DVD case, right?
No, but when you compare them to like other cartridges or things, like it fills up space, and the PS3 library is huge.
Right.
So I'm not looking forward to that chase. Especially because PS3 has like region exclusives. There's one that's like from India only, which I know my buddy Jay has a copy of, and already that game is expensive and hard to find.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's not going to be a fun chase.
Interesting. I mean, it doesn't affect me. I'm not going to be upset if any of this stuff is not available to me digitally. I wonder how this will affect me with this console generation moving forward, though, because I am predominantly digital. So all the games that I have, if I ever want to transfer my hard drive or something like that, I wouldn't be able to re-download these games then, right?
No.
I just have to, have them on my hard drive. If my hard drive fails, then I'm SOL.
Yeah, if it's anything like with the Wii and the 3DS or the DS stores, right? You can't download stuff you own anymore.
Right.
Yeah. It actually makes it even more difficult because when the PS5 was like, oh yeah, we're not doing backwards compatibility.
Mm-hmm.
So the people that are like, oh my God, like I was hoping that PS5 would be backwards compatible for like some of the PS3 games that I love to like all like 5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So now people are like rushing out and grabbing these physical copies because you need to have the physical copies and a PS3 to play them.
Mm-hmm.
So
it
is what it is.
It's utter crap.
It is.
That's what it is. It's the PSP. I'm less offended by. The Vita, I think, is absolute words I can't say on this show. Because that console only came out in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even a decade old, and so many Vita games did not get a physical release.
Yeah,
and I feel like they've still been making games for the Vita, haven't they?
Yeah, they put out several Vita games earlier this year.
I believe Sony is officially done making them.
Sony is.
Yeah, limited run, and I believe they're actually having a hard time dealing with Sony getting the rights to put out some of these games now.
Right, but publishers are free to put stuff out on Vita, right? Habroxia 2, a game I reviewed for the site, was out on Vita earlier this year.
Yep.
And I know physical cartridges are limited because you had to like put in your orders, like Limited Runs had to put in their orders for stuff they're printing this year, 2 years ago for the last cartridges, which is Sony does not care about the Vita. Obviously, they kind of wish that thing had died years ago, I imagine.
Which is a shame because the 3DS is like still going.
What's weird is because you're talking about how Vitas are hard to find. Like Vita seems to have had some kind of weird resurgence in the past few years.
Well, as soon as Sony said that they are not making another handheld at this current time, that's why it's seeing such a huge resurgence because there's nothing else.
Yeah, it just honestly it seems mean spirited for the Vita.
It does,
and almost spiteful.
Yeah,
they're mad that it's successful now.
Yeah, you know me. Like I'm not overly a huge Sony guy, but the Vita is actually one of my more preferred handhelds.
Yeah,
it's very nice.
I use my Vita regularly. It's a great piece of machinery.
I've still never touched a Vita.
It's an excellent console. Now you'll never have a need to. And there's also there's an Uncharted game, a first-party Uncharted canon to the storyline game that's not anywhere else, and they're just going to bury it.
Is that the one that used the touch controls to do some of the climbing?
Yeah, I mean you didn't have to, but
Yeah.
You could if you wanted to. It just sucks. The PS3 stuff is, I mean, you can look at it one of two ways, right? Like, who cares about these games anyway? But you can also look at, like, there's that zombie game, Amy, that released on PS3, and it was a huge deal when it came out for briefly, but then it reviewed terribly. But, like, sure, nobody wants that game, but doesn't it suck, right? If you own it and now you can't download it, or if you made it and now there's like erasing it. I don't know. It just seems crappy.
I didn't think about it from that perspective. Yeah.
Especially like that was a second party Sony title, so that team can never just see that. They'll never see that game again.
And it probably wouldn't be in a developer's financial interest to, repress that onto a physical version.
Right. Yeah. Or
because nobody's going to
somehow or try to buy the rights out. Like it's unfeasible. It just really sucks for the teams of these weird games. It's just sad.
Mm-hmm.
But it is really like a reminder that no one will actually care about that. Like, hey man, you should really buy physical. It is not in the consumer's interest at all to purchase digital.
So we could talk about that for hours.
I know
Well, I mean,
it's making me a little sad. So
we could talk about it for hours.
Do you need a hug, CB?
I do need a hug. All these poor indie developers that are just gonna.
I mean, from a preservation standpoint, yes, I think it sucks. From a consumer standpoint, I'm fine with it. I have so many games on my Xbox now that you could go through. There's like 700 games available for download.
Well, yeah. Xbox is great. Xbox cares about backwards compatibility.
Well, right, but if history repeats itself, that's going to eventually happen to Xbox, unless Xbox just keeps rolling all that stuff over.
But what are you talking about? They are committed to rolling it over, right? I played KOTOR on my Xbox One.
Okay.
Right? Like, am I wrong? Or like, you can play original Xbox games on your Series X.
Right. Yes.
True. I know they've talked about it going forward. They plan to keep on rolling the libraries forward.
All right. Well,
whereas Jim Ryan of PlayStation has publicly said nobody cares about backwards compatibility, even though it's categorically untrue based on the data you have from Xbox.
Right.
And he's like, nobody's ever going to go back to play Gran Turismo 2, which he's right. Not a lot of people are going to play Gran Turismo 2, but plenty of people would go back to play the first God of War on PS5. What are you talking about?
Mm-hmm. That'd be a fun comparison. The first game was fun. The second one was better. Anyway, we talked about this for a while. Zach, do you got another story you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, it sucks for me that Gotham Knights got delayed.
Yeah.
I was really looking forward to that one. Scott was already predicting it was my game of the year.
There goes that.
2021. It's not going to happen.
Was that an actual prediction I made?
No, it was, you said it would be like your prediction number 6 or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there goes that.
Yeah, I mean, you probably would have been right, too. So it sucks for me, but hey, I get it. This is not the last delay of this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to have a drought for most of the year, to be honest.
I am kind of okay with that.
Yeah, as we'll discuss later, I am plenty okay with it. So not a lot to say there, but the Jade Raymond studio was bizarre.
I thought you'd be more stoked for this, honestly.
No, on one hand, I am excited. It's good Jade Raymond found a job like a month and a half after Stadia fired her or whatever. But so they announced a studio called Haven, but they don't even have a logo or a website. Like what was the point of this announcement?
It seemed way early.
Unbelievably early. I don't know what they're afraid of. Like, were they afraid of it leaking? Because who cares? Jade Raymond's starting a new development studio. Why would you care if that leaks? Like, there was no reason to announce this at all.
Yeah, this isn't gonna. Whatever this is, we're not even going to see a trailer for till at least 2023, right?
Right. They don't even have a website.
Yeah.
For the studio.
It's very
what
early.
A ridiculous announcement. But yeah, hey, Jade Raymond can ride the co-creating Assassin's Creed until she dies.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right. It sucks that she hasn't put out a game in a decade or so.
People are very excited that she's back in the games industry, though. She still loves games.
She never left.
Well, there was concerns that she was going to get out after everything that she's been through.
Oh yeah. Just while her and Amy Hennig, two of the biggest female names in gaming, neither of them put out a game in a decade.
Mm-hmm. Let's
What's
put them
that about?
together.
Yes. Yeah, Jade Raymond, hire Amy Hennig to be your creative lead at the studio.
Now,
you're just a producer. You're not making ideas.
I'm really excited about that idea. Let's just make that happen, please.
Yeah,
that'd be
cool.
I'm just more nervous over the fact that Motive Studios got shut down. It's like, look, I started a brand new studio. We don't have anything going yet. I'm like, please don't shut this down too.
Not yet.
But she put all her eggs in Stadia's basket. That was not.
They must have had one hell of a blank check they were offering.
They must have. Must have. I want to talk about this Square Enix Presents just for a quick moment. They had a live stream that on March 18th. We saw a trailer for Life is Strange True Colors. It releases on September 10th. It's not going to be released episodically.
Boo.
I mean, it's still going to be episodes, but they're just going to give them all to you, like Netflix style.
Yeah, I like episodic. When they have the timeline figured out, which I think they've done 3 times in history.
Yes. There's also going to be remastered versions of the original games. There was a new trailer for Outriders, a trailer for Balan Wonderland. I thought this was pretty cool news. The Tomb Raider Definitive Survival Trilogy, which we hinted at earlier, it's available today on Xbox and PlayStation for $20. It includes all 3 games: Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider. That's an interesting move that they did there.
That's the best deal since the Orange Box.
Yeah. I mean, and what's interesting is it's only available until, what is it, like February 2nd or April 2nd?
Well, I think, and then it goes up to 60, right?
Right. No, 50. It goes up to 50.
Okay.
But I've never seen a model like that where, hey, if you buy it early, you get it cheap. And then if
Nintendo changed the game. That freaking All-Stars package.
Yeah, well, it's still going to be available. It's just going to be more expensive.
But now you're going to see these crazy rushes to a finish line. Right? Because I can't tell you how many people I've heard who have said, well, I got to get that All-Star soon because I can't get it later. And it's going to have I got to get that Tomb Raider collection because it's $20 now. It'll go up to 50 on the second. I may as well pick it up. So,
I kind of like it. I kind of like that. Anyway, there was an update for Marvel's Avengers. Saw some Hawkeye gameplay, something about a Black Widow event, and new story content in the addition of Black Panther. There is a Just Cause mobile game coming and a Hitman Sniper Assassins mobile game coming. And then finally, Forspoken trailer was shown. This is formerly Project Athia.
Athia.
Coming to PC and PS5 in 2022. Honestly, out of all this, we're obviously stoked for Outriders. I don't have much more to say about that, but A New Life is Strange.
I'm written by Ryan Clements.
Did not know that.
Yeah, former game journalist, former Sony employee, former host of Podcast Beyond, Ryan Clements.
Oh, okay. Beyond.
He's written a couple fantasy books that are extraordinary. So when I learned he was writing True Colors, I'm actually excited now.
There you go. And I was hoping we'd get more in the Life is Strange universe because that first game in particular was really, really solid.
I like the Life is Strange games, so I'm excited there's another one coming.
Me too.
It's weird that a Hitman game's coming out of Square Enix, right? IO took the property with them.
Huh. I didn't even think about that.
I wonder if they took the property with them for like consoles.
Yeah, isn't that weird? And but Square Enix was like, but we want to keep the Hitman brand alive for mobile. It's interesting. Yeah,
that is interesting.
I would love to know the behind the scenes deal on that.
When I saw this news story, seeing the 2 mobile games, I'm kind of like, I don't care about either.
Yeah,
at all.
The last Hitman Sniper mobile game was fun, but I don't care about Just Cause, let alone a mobile Just Cause.
I wanted to like Just Cause, and I got bored with it really quick.
Yeah, same. Balan Wonderworld, I played the demo for. It's awful. I wouldn't recommend that to anybody.
That trailer did nothing for me.
No, it's from the creator of Sonic. That's the only thing it's got. But it looks bad. What do you guys think about Forspoken?
It looks interesting. I just feel like I need more information.
Yeah, I'm currently fenced.
I was not expecting F-bombs in this universe.
That's fair.
It's written by Gary Whitta. I'm pretty sure. Rogue One writer. Anybody?
Oh yeah, I'm familiar.
Former game journalist as well.
Mm-hmm. Last thing I want to mention, Octopath Traveler is one of the things being added to Game Pass. That might get me to jump back into that again. I don't know. I really did dig that game.
I actually thought about that. I'm like, I might actually finally play this game.
Well, I had it on Switch, but I hit a grinding wall, and to try to jump back into that game at this point would be impossible. I don't remember how to play that game. I don't remember anything, but I liked it so much. I really liked the music, and I loved it. I may give that another shot. And
Real
Squadrons,
curse of the backlog, wouldn't you say?
Yeah,
Having to jump back into things.
yeah.
I
we're gonna get
am
to that.
honestly surprised by Squadrons already.
Yeah, Squadrons on Game Pass.
That's
Yeah.
funny that you say already, because I was like, oh, I thought that would already be on there.
Right. Well, that was a lot of news to get through. CB, what is coming on the horizon for our Patreon subscribers? Any new episodes?
Well, we do have some new stuff coming. I know I'm personally working on a retro outsider for peripherals,
Yes.
so I know you're excited for that. There's
a lot
there's
of
gonna be
crazy
some-
stuff in your collection.
There's going to be some dumb things done.
Yeah.
I know Spencer's also done another Going Gone Drunken Trivia episode
Mm-hmm.
with David Newman and Cy Quinones. And you, I believe all three of us are working on Spec Ops The Line,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
which I already started playing, and I forgot how good that game is.
Yeah.
Game's great.
Mm-hmm. Looking forward to sitting down and talking with you guys on that one. Again, if you're not familiar, our Patreon is a way that we that listeners can contribute to the show, and we take that money to pay for the show as well as give back to the community. Purchasing games to review and then giving them away to the community. If you'd like to be a part of that and get access to some of these bonus episodes, head over to patreon.com/thegocast. We would love to have your help and contributions. With that, let's jump into the new games that we've been playing. All right, Zach, you've been talking drought. You've been saying that word quite a bit here, but I see quite a list here.
Yeah, there's a lot of games coming out this week. I'll be surprised if any of us play any of them. Right off the bat, you have Overcooked All You Can Eat, which is collecting both the Overcooked games, and that's going to PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC March 23rd. The next Farming Sim, which I feel like I read out a Farming Sim every few weeks on this. Those things are a dime a dozen. Story of Seasons, Pioneers of Olive Town, coming to Switch March 23rd. This game I put on the list exclusively because of the title, which is Love Live! School Idol Festival, tilde, After School Activities in all caps, tilde, YY! Home Meeting! What
does that game even mean?
So the total title is Love Live! School Idol Festival, After School Activity! YY! Home Meeting! That's going to PS4 March 24th. That is a
like a rhythm game.
Yes, it's a Japanese idol game.
Wouldn't it be amazing if that game was just fantastic?
I mean, that name is so Square Enix.
Yeah, true.
To its very core. Wouldn't it be great if, that was like Game of the Year?
Yeah.
No, everybody just pass it up.
I love it.
That would be wonderful. Paradise Lost is a first-person adventure alternate history game. Going to PS4, Xbox One, and PC March 24th. It looks kind of cool, but the trailers are almost too cinematic to tell what you're doing.
You know
what I mean? Black Legend is a RPG coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, Switch, and PC March 25th. That looks like a very grim, dark sort of isometric RPG.
It kind of reminded me of like XCOM, but in like the Dark Ages.
Right, you're like exploring, an isometric, almost Diablo way, but then you're having a lot of dialogue like an old BioWare RPG, and then the fights are like a melee XCOM.
Yeah.
Interesting looking game, and it looks, talk about mean-spirited, it looks like a Game of Thrones kind of world in terms of mean tone. Looks kind of cool.
Nice.
Dandy Ace is a game that I would say is more than a little inspired by Hades, coming to PC March 25th, in that it looks exactly like Hades as a roguelike. Looks kind of cool. Dark 2D puzzle platformer coming to PS5 and Series X and S March 25th on it with its complete edition.
That looks really cool, actually.
It does.
Yeah.
Looks neat. El Hijo, a Wild West tale, has you playing as a 6-year-old boy in the Wild West on PS4, Xbox One, Switch on March 25th.
With a slingshot.
Yeah, it's a stealth game where you play as a kid.
Yeah, it's pretty
in the
cool.
Wild West. It's a cute idea.
Mm-hmm.
Balan Wonderworld, which I discussed earlier as being something you can just entirely skip. It's going to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, Switch, and PC March 26th. That is a tentpole Square Enix release, and I feel like they almost do not want you to know it.
Okay.
You know, I mean, had you really heard about this game outside of that Square Enix Presents?
No, not at all.
They are not marketing this thing. It was announced like a year and a half ago. Genesis Noir is a game that I wanted to play based on its title, and then I saw the trailer, and it looks like stick figures come to life. It's going to Xbox One, Switch, and PC March 26th. Then I guess the real cake of the week is It Takes Two. That's the new Josef Fares game. Coming to PS5, PS4, Series X and S, Xbox One, and PC March 26th. Co-op required for that game. You cannot play it alone. And Monster Hunter Rise coming to Nintendo Switch March 26th. Enough said there. See a lot of games, guys, but I don't think outside of It Takes Two.
It Takes Two, man. I'm all over that game.
It looks great.
I'm going to have a busy week.
Busy week.
You gonna play Black Legend?
I already bought Story of Seasons.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, you're a farming sim guy.
I've been wanting to play a Story of Seasons game for a while, and I just happened across the fact that one of my local GameStops had a collector's edition version.
Ooh.
And it was only $5 more.
Really? What do you get for $5?
Like stickers and stuff like that, but it's like a bigger box, and it's been a while since I've picked up a Switch collector's edition.
That is not the game I would have expected you to be playing off of this list.
But surprisingly, the other game I'm really looking forward to is El Hijo.
I think that looks great.
It looks cute.
I really want to play it. I saw the trailer and I'm like, this game it kind of reminded me of playing like through Raji.
Oh yeah, an ancient epic.
Yeah, which I also liked a lot.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully El Hijo has an ending. Otherwise,
yeah.
No, I think El Hijo looks great. It's just time is a currency.
Yeah, I hear you.
It Takes Two looks incredible. I had not actually seen any gameplay of this game until I was putting together this list. I was completely blown away. I did not know it was looks like a 3D platformer.
Mm-hmm.
But like back in the Jack and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank days where you're doing different stuff every world. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm awesome. Torn, Zach, because part of me really wants to play through it with you. Because, we hardly ever play games together. But considering the story, it'd make a lot of sense for me to play through with my wife.
Right. But I would be a better wife than she would.
Would you?
Yeah, let's be real.
Can you cook?
I thought you did the cooking.
Okay. All right.
Do you not do that? You thought you did the cooking in your marriage.
We share.
I think you must take a break.
Okay. My apologies.
Anyway, we picked a really good week to talk about backlogs because none of us played anything brand new this week. But luck as it be, that was an awkward sentence. As luck would have it, that is the phrase I was trying to say. This is the first time
talking to everybody.
I know. A couple of our contributing writers reviewed games for us. So I'm going to play for you now a couple of interviews that I did with Alyssa and Kevin. They both played a couple games that you, at least one of them, you're going to want to hear for sure. So I'll put this for you right now. I'm here with not one, but two of our contributing writers from the Go team here. First off, Miss Alyssa White. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good, Scott. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. We had an awesome episode with you last week. I had so many people call in and say how much they enjoyed listening to you. So
Aww.
Nicely done.
I had such a blast.
It was a good time. Also joining us, Mr. Kevin Honigford. Kevin, how you doing?
Great. Yourself?
I'm doing okay. You've been putting up with us in our D&D group for the past several weeks.
Putting up okay.
Man, we had some fun this past week, though. It was a good time. But anyway, you guys are here to talk to us about a couple games you're playing. First off, I'm going to talk with Alyssa about a game she's played called Doctor Who: The Lonely Assassins. Now, this is a mobile game, and you're going to have to bear with me, Alyssa, because I know absolutely nothing about Doctor Who. All right,
That's fine.
So you're going to have to tell us about it. But this one comes from developer Kygon Games, and it was provided to us by Home Run PR. So now, the little I do know about Doctor Who is that the Blink episode, or Don't Blink episode, is a big deal in Doctor Who universe. And this game, The Lonely Assassins, is based on that storyline, correct?
It is, yes.
Okay, because can you explain to everybody why that's important for those of us that don't know anything about Doctor Who?
Okay, so the Don't Blink episode was the episode that introduced the Weeping Angels, which are, in my opinion, one of the coolest enemies in the Doctor Who universe right now. And they're just this menacing threat, and they are the threat in this game.
Wait, is it Don't Blink or just Blink?
Don't Blink.
It is Don't Blink, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, go ahead.
So I love this game. And it feels really, really natural to play it on mobile because you're playing as a person that picks up this guy Lawrence's phone, and you get a message from a woman named Petronella, and she wants you to go through his files and his texts and try to decipher where he's at.
Okay.
And then you start hearing more and more stuff from the Doctor Who universe, like Weeping Angels. She tells you about the Doctor. So it's a lot of lore and just goodness if you are a Doctor Who fan.
So it's more like a love letter to Doctor Who with an interactive narrative experience.
It
right?
is, yes.
Okay. So would you say it's a must play for Doctor Who fans?
Yes, if you love Doctor Who, I highly recommend this because right now we're going through a little bit of a drought with Doctor Who, so it definitely gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling.
And the game is like, what, $2.99? You played on iOS?
Really cheap. Yeah. It's really cheap, yeah. You can play it on PC, but I actually recommend playing it on a mobile phone if possible, just because of the nature of it.
Yeah, there's something about, like you said, you find a cell phone, so it almost feels like it deserves to be played on or needs to be played on a phone, right?
Yeah, and I played the whole game in, like, I think a 2.5 hour span. I could not put my phone down. I was addicted, huh? Yeah.
It reminds me of, I can't remember that game, but remember those games, oh man, where you're like going through like police found footage when they're interviewing this girl that's like tried for murder. I cannot remember what the name of it.
Her Story?
Her Story, yeah. Is it play like Her Story kind of gameplay?
I've never played that. I want to. Okay. But I would say if you've played now I can't remember the name of the game. There are two games where you find a phone and you have to figure out what happened to the person, but I cannot remember the name of them, but it's like those games.
Okay. Sounds good. So it sounds like you do recommend our listeners check that one out?
I do. If you're a Doctor Who fan, definitely.
All right, sounds good. Kev, you've also been playing a game for us called Derelict Void. You're playing this one on PC, comes from Sterling Games. And I watched the trailer for this, and you're going to have to explain to me what's going on, because I got some like FTL vibes. It looks like you're a space trucker, but it's like managing systems and bringing things together. What is Derelict Void?
That's, I guess, a close way to put it. I don't really know how to answer that question, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I've played this game for a little over 8 hours now. You basically, you are in a ship in space, and there's really no introduction to any story. It basically says, hey, we don't know what happened. You have to go basically find these other holes and attach them to your ship. These other holes have resources, supplies, buildings, things of that nature.
All right, so I get this like real-time strategy vibe from watching the trailer. I mean, it's obviously using a mouse. What are you doing to... I mean, is it a puzzle game? I don't really understand how it works.
It's a survival game, and it's funny you say real time, because time is your enemy in this game.
How so?
You have a finite amount of resources that you can build upon, but once you run out, your game's over. So you have food, water, oxygen, carbon, organics, CO2, things of that nature. And once you run out of food, game's over. Once you run out of oxygen, game's over. Now, there are things, like I said, you can find holes that have supplies of different things in them, and you can find buildings that will, in a way, help you replenish some of them. But the other twist is, to travel, you have to use some of these resources.
Okay.
So it's like burning the candle at both ends.
Is it procedurally generated then? Like each run is completely different? It's almost like a roguelike then.
Yeah, that's the only aspect of it that's like a roguelike. And that's, for the way this is built, that's what makes it the most frustrating.
Okay.
Because
really?
you have no idea how. I mean, I have gone, like I said, I've played this for over 8 hours now. I've gone through probably 60, 70 runs. Mm-hmm. I have yet to get to a point where I play longer than like 20 minutes per run, because you die that fast, because you're running out of food, you're running out of oxygen, whatever. You have no idea. The other aspect of this game that's a little bit frustrating is, like I said, you get these buildings that you can utilize to help build your resources. Like there is a bio-oxidizer. It turns oxygen and organics into water, hydrogen, and CO2. So you have a way you can kind of like direct which way you want those things to go, or what you want more of. But you can't build them. You have to find them. And when you do, they're not working. So when you find one, you keep it, you move it onto your ship, or you keep the hull that it's on attached to your ship. And you have to find another one to get the parts from to fix the one that you already found.
So you just have to get lucky and stumble across the stuff that you need. There's no way to like build what you need.
No. I really think if it had the building aspect to it, this had the potential to be so good, but this was not fun. I struggled very hard.
Is there anything that you're doing after each run that makes subsequent runs easier? That's kind of like what I think of with roguelikes.
Yeah,
So
and that's when I saw the trailer. That's kind of what I got that vibe, because they had said I think they called it a roguelite. When they were doing the ad, and I'll check it out. And so I was expecting something along those lines, especially after the first couple runs, and nothing. You just completely start over.
Okay, so it sounds like this game didn't click for you. Do you think it's one you might recommend for anybody, or?
To be honest with you, if I don't remember the price point right off the top of my head. It was either $20 or $25. For that amount of money, no, I'm sorry. But like the video that they showed in the trailer, there were no theatricals in this at all. It literally is point and click at a screen. You're looking at the same thing the entire time. Even when the dialogue comes up, it's the same picture of a woman looking at a hollow computer. And it's the same thing over and over again.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, man. It looked interesting from the initial trailer.
Yeah. I really wanted this to be good. I really wanted to enjoy this.
All right, yeah, it looks like it is $17.99 on Steam. So, not quite. Maybe wait for a sale if you want to give it a shot.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
All right. Again, Derelict Void. Thank you, Kevin, for checking that one out, and Alyssa, both of you, thanks for stopping by and sharing your experience with both of these games. It was good talking with you both.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. Thank you again for the opportunity.
Yeah, I always love talking on here. So.
All right. Well, we'll definitely have you both on again soon. We'll catch you guys later. All right.
Bye.
See you.
Thanks again to Alyssa and Kevin. Let's go ahead and move on. Want to remind everybody before we get to our topic that we do have a Facebook group that we'd like to invite you to. The website is facebook.com/groups/thegocast. And we got some new members to say hello to. First off, Joseph Heck, Logan Davis, Elliot Collins, and Christopher Landis. Welcome to the group. Hope you guys are enjoying the conversations over there. Also on Discord, we've got some new members. Someone by the name of Rasmus. Also, Daniel Gilmore, who's been great addition over there. He's been talking quite a bit and a really good guy. And Taylor Card, who is the wife of my buddy Mike Card, who we played Killer Queen Black with this past weekend. She was a lot.
Oh yeah, she uses the bathroom a lot.
Yes, she does. She has to pee quite often. Like
you'll learn when playing Killer Queen Black with her.
Yep. No new reviews on Apple Podcasts, so if you get a chance, head over and drop us a review. We'd love to hear from you, what you think of the show, and what ways we can improve and do things better for you. Also, our website is thegamingoutsider.com. We've got lots of written content up there. First off, Alyssa's review of Doctor Who, The Lonely Assassins, which you just heard about, is up there. Thomas's review of The Life and Suffering of Sir Brant is available. Zack did an editorial where he listed his top 20 games of all time. That is available on the website for you to read, as well as my very late review of Destroy All Humans. You can read on the website. And Kevin's review of Derelict Void, which you also just heard about, and CB's review of Speed Limit is up on the site as well. So be sure to check those out, as well as all of our other written content. We would appreciate it. With that, let's go ahead now and jump into our From the Outside In topic. It's no secret that we're in a bit of a dry spell in terms of new games. COVID has caused all kinds of problems, including the release date of several larger titles that many of us have been looking forward to. With that said, many of us have taken this as a good thing since it gives us a chance to catch up on our backlogs. This seemed like a good time to discuss why we have backlogs, if we do, and how we go about getting back to games that we never finished. So for starters, why do we all have backlogs as big as we do? I'm assuming that you guys have backlogs, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's such a gamer cliche,
Right.
you know?
There's just like a list of games that we always have in the back of our mind that we want to get to, but we're not going to. What causes you to give up on a game even if you are enjoying it?
Too many things.
Life gets in the way.
Work, life, kids. So I want to actually go through a couple listener comments first.
All right.
Before I kind of tackle my issues. First off, my good friend, Mr. Sean Coates, says, I have 2 backlogs. My retro collection, where I have hundreds of unplayed games and will one day get to at least play all of them. As for my more modern backlog, it's constantly growing because when I decide what to play, the familiar often wins out over something new, especially if it doesn't hook me right away. Luckily, time isn't a factor in this issue as I get 3 days off of a week, and I'm a night owl. Like right now, for instance, I'm only maybe 5 hours into Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Immortals Phoenix Rising combined, yet I'm about 40 hours into my second playthrough of Cyberpunk 2077.
I can feel his pain a little bit with the starting a new game, because you have to be like in the right mindset to start a new game. You got to really be able to sit down and commit for a couple hours. But when it's something familiar that you've already started, just going and sitting down for a half hour, 45 minutes, hour is fine.
And you feel accomplished in the half hour, right? Because you like know the game,
right?
So you're like, oh, I'm a half hour closer to like this moment or this beat. When it's your first time, you're like, it's really going to be enough to get anything done, though,
right?
You know,
because you're just going to learn how to play the game, maybe see some cutscenes.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I'm playing Vampire is because I was feeling guilty playing KOTOR.
Why were you feeling guilty playing KOTOR?
Because I was like, oh, well, here I am replaying this game for the 60th time. Whereas I could play one of, this huge pile of backlog I have. I should play one of these things.
You should never feel guilty playing a game that you enjoy.
Yeah,
very true.
Not, but
I desperately love some of my older games. However, I like to play the new shiny flashy.
That's my problem.
Yeah,
the new hotness.
That is definitely my problem because, Scott, you've definitely seen my Xbox download list and what is in there. I'm constantly adding things. I'm like, this looks really good. It's on sale. Buy the thing. And it unfortunately just kind of gets pushed to the back burner because it's like, oh, look.
We were talking about that before we started recording, actually, because there was like a sale on Xbox today. And there's a list of like 4 games. I'm like, man, those are so cheap. I should just pick them up. Blue Dragon for $5. The Ace Attorney trilogy game for $15. Asura's Wrath, which I played back in the day, but it would be nice to have a digital copy of that. It would just basically automatically go to my backlog. Blue Dragon.
I would love for you to spend $5 on Blue Dragon that you would never, ever, ever play.
Oh, challenge accepted.
I'm just gonna go play it tonight just to mess with you.
Right?
Well, that's fine. I mean, you're not Scott.
True. Which leads me into my second comment, Mr. Kevin Honigford. When it comes to games, I have a spending problem. That plain and simple.
Especially on Steam during the Steam. I know he's a PC player.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a PC player by any means, but my list of games on Steam, I have to scroll a while. You know what I mean?
See, luckily, I don't have that problem with Steam because I'm not really a PC guy. But for those who've seen my game collection, I have 175 PS4 games. Mm-hmm. I've opened 15 of them.
Are the rest sealed, or you just have never opened them?
They are all sealed.
Nice. There you go.
So, mostly because I just haven't got around to opening them. I mean, this week alone, I had like another 7 games come in the mail for retro stuff. And I'm like, I want to play these. And unfortunately, it's just like, oh, look, they get booted up. They work. Okay, shelf them. I'll get around to them eventually.
And you never do.
No. This year, I'm actually, because of COVID, I've been tackling my NES collection, like actually playing through games that I've never got around to playing before.
Like, give me an example. What's one you never played?
Castlevania.
We talked about that one already.
So ones like that. I mean, I have like 3 or 4 games on my Oculus Quest that I haven't even booted up yet, but I own them. I bought The Climb 2. I loved The Climb 1. I haven't even booted it up yet.
Yeah.
So,
you have a spending problem. I think we all know that.
I do.
Right, we hear about it on the show pretty regularly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, for me, unlike you, Scott, and I know you, Zach, I don't have a time problem.
Right.
Right.
So
I do.
I have all the time in the world, but the problem is I've created a backlog that's so massive. I've actually gone into my game room and just looked around and be like, what do I play? And so there's that nightmare of just staring at the mountain and being like, which path do I choose? And spending like an hour trying to go like, I'm not in the mood for this today. I'll try this. And 5 minutes later, nope, I'll try this. And then I go play Galaga for like an hour.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
The familiar always wins because you want to have that endorphin rush of that feeling of success.
Yeah, it just feels good.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. I booted up Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I've beat the game and I'm like, I still want to play more.
I wish I had played that game. I'm so scared of the hour commitment in that game though, dude.
I get it. And that actually leads to another problem with backlogs is when you know that some of these games have such a massive commitment to get through.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, I mean, interrupt or anything. It's just, you're like, yeah, this game's 60 hours. You're like, but you know what? I have always wanted to watch Justified. Maybe I should, because like there's so many competing things now too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I legitimately thought like, oh, COVID, like the world shut down. We're getting all these game delays. It's actually become harder for me, especially with kids learning. Doing e-learning from home.
Mm-hmm.
Because back when my older son would go to school, I'd just be like, turn on the TV. I've got nothing to do for 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that luxury as much anymore. So I'm like anxious for schools to open so I can be like, I want my free time back.
You and a lot of parents, I imagine.
But going back to the time commitment though, for you, Scott, because I know I've had this conversation for you, I personally don't understand it.
Uh-huh.
But when you play a complex game and then you walk away from it for a while, you're like, I have to relearn the controls. I've never really had that problem.
Really?
No.
It's not even so much the controls sometimes, it's just the way the mechanics work. Like we talked about Octopath Traveler earlier. That's a very complex game in terms of the systems of each individual character, and I don't feel like I could just jump back into that game. Or Horizon Zero Dawn. Did you play that? I don't remember.
I started that game because I was part of the group that did the Patreon episode on it.
Oh, okay.
The Break Seal. I had actually played about 6 to 7 hours in that game and then shut it off and didn't touch it for 9 months.
And it was still
booted
fun.
up, and it was like riding a bike.
Man.
See, for me, it's not the mechanics or the controls. It is like the mindset. Like it's hard to feel back in the because I like the atmosphere kind of wash over me. It sounds so pretentious. It's like really feel like you're in the world or whatever. And like it's hard for me to feel that way if I jump back into something. That's my hang up.
Yeah, it'd be like watching the first half of a movie and then not being able to watch the second half of it. A year or two later.
9 months later, you're jumping back into the movie.
Right. I mean, that's what we do with like the Lord of the Rings movies, right?
Oh, I mean,
like those movies released, every year for 3 years,
right?
Didn't they?
But you rewatch the one. It's like when you rewatched all of Game of Thrones before every new season.
True. It's a little easier to just sit down and rewatch a 2.5 hour movie,
right?
Instead of replay another 15 hours that you put into a certain game.
Exactly.
And see, I've never done that either.
You never rewatched something?
Like
no,
not like that. But when say The Mandalorian, like the next season's out, I'm not going to rewatch the 2 previous seasons.
Oh man, I love doing that.
I just dive right into the new season. I don't do that.
I do for most stuff, obviously.
Most stuff I do, yeah, but for things like The Mandalorian and Game of Thrones,
or Arrow, of course.
Sure.
I know you love Arrow.
I love the first season.
Yeah, season 2's better.
I don't know. That's where I gave up.
Madness.
What about you, Zach?
Yeah, let's move on to you, Zack.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, I thought Daniel Gilmore kind of pretty succinctly put why I stopped playing games, actually. Daniel, new to the Discord, of course. Daniel Gilmore writes in, creativity has always been a staple in what makes a game worth finishing. If I've already seen what the game has offered at a certain point, then I typically won't complete it. It is most often new, fresh, or creative ideas or gameplay elements that push me forward. If these elements don't exist, then the game will enter the backlog. Returning to the backlog is very spontaneous and unplanned for me. The desire to play an older title is typically sparked by a conversation or release of a newer title in the same universe or genre. In many cases, older titles just won't hold up well by modern standards. In these instances, my backlog fix is just satiated by watching YouTube long play or a Twitch stream. I often don't have to actually play the game for myself to find closure. Buying multiple games during a sale is also a massive contributor to the backlog. That's a whole different conversation, though. That's how I feel, man. That's why I can't do these 80-hour games, is because I see everything that you have to offer in the first 15 hours.
Right.
You know, like Assassin's Creed, Odyssey. I hate to bring that up yet again, but it was such a slog for me because it just felt the last 20 hours feels like the first 5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing changed in that kind of game, or even Far Cry 3, right, which I talked about on the show. I didn't play that until last year. And I was really enjoying those first few hours, but then I was like, okay, I'm just kind of doing the same thing over and over again. And if the story is not like just truly gripping, then I'm just not going to be able to see it through. And when like Far Cry 3, once Voss is gone, the story really takes a nosedive.
Yeah, but that's where your podcasts and your audiobooks come into play. Those are great. Games.
You're right. That it is good for that, but I really do need that narrative hook. But even the best story in the world stretched out over 80 hours would still be rough.
Mm-hmm.
That's a rare kind of game that can hold your attention for that long. So yeah, for me, it's just you got to keep it fresh. And it's hard.
His idea of going to like playing as much until it starts feeling repetitive, and then going and watching a Twitch stream or watching a YouTube, just to see the story through.
I don't agree with that.
I can't do it.
That would not give me closure, and that's it's probably a personal hang up. For me, it's just because I don't feel like I earned it. I almost feel like I don't earn getting to see the ending.
You and I are on the same page in that. I always feel guilty doing that. Now, I've done that for, like when Last of Us 2 came out, I did not want to replay through The Last of Us because that game was a slog for me. As much as I enjoyed that story, the first game was not fun.
No, perfect example of they used up all their ideas in the first 4 hours. And if it was not for that story, you could not get through it. But right. I can't replay that game either.
So I actually watched a YouTube stream of all the cutscenes just to like refresh before I started that game. But that's also refresh. I feel like I still earned it because I played it.
Yeah, you had already earned that.
Right.
So you're just refreshing your memory on that.
Right.
I know I'm old, but I just don't get watching people play through story games on Twitch. Like it just breaks my mind. So,
I still can't get over the watching other people play games for pure entertainment. Like I sound like such an old guy saying that, but I listen to other podcasters saying, yeah, I was watching so-and-so stream, just had it on the background while I was at work. I mean, I guess if it was background noise or something, that's one thing, but
competitive like games, I can understand. Like watching a good Gears match online, I enjoy that. But it's just simply like story games. Right. I can't. It breaks my brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I also feel old, but I just cannot do the Let's Play things.
Yeah, I know. And you're the youngest one here. So.
Right. Game Informer used to do a show called, or they still do a show called Replay and Super Replay. And those were fun just because Dan Reichert was on there.
Mm-hmm.
Who was such an over-the-top personality, and they play these really awful, long-form horror games.
Mm-hmm.
So like that I got, but that was almost like a comedy thing because the games were so awful.
Well, plus you're watching it more for the personalities than the actual game itself.
Which is what I'm sure all these young whippersnappers are doing with their YouTube Let's Plays. But for me, if it's an actual story I care about, I don't want a couple yahoos talking over it.
Right. It kind of defeats the purpose. That's why when we play a story game together, or if we're playing our own game and I say, hey, story, you shut up for 30 seconds. You know what I mean?
It means. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I think actually, Last was a great example. It's a game that was too long. That's why the 8 to 12 hours, man, is just perfect.
Yeah. I think somebody has that comment coming up here.
Someone
shortly.
did pat me on the back, and I'll use that comment later.
Yeah, of course you will. I'll go ahead to Christy Flores's comment. She says, my backlog is simply out of control, and I can relate. I haven't had a chance to play as much this past year, and when I do, it takes a lot to stay focused on finishing the game. Staying focused after working all day is busy, but an easy thing right now. I have quite a few games that I'm halfway or more through that I do plan on finishing, and I've gotten better about making sure I do go back. Now making the decision which unfinished game to go back to isn't easy. It usually depends on how I'm feeling at the time. Right now, I really want to finish Nier on my PS3.
You do.
I put it down when I was sick and just haven't picked it up since because Chase, her boyfriend, and I started playing through the Borderlands series. This is a big factor for me. My life, it just seems to get busier and busier, and a lot of it is self. I'm doing it to myself. I do this podcast. I post the reviews for our site. I keep track of all that stuff. I'm in constant contact. I have an email that I'm keeping track of. I started exercising this year. There's always something that's keeping me away from my console.
You're knocking out an editorial a month, you know.
Hey now. hey,
I'm not keeping up either.
Hey, I gotta get caught up on my actual reviews first. Then I'll get to an editorial, I promise. But yeah, life is just crazy, which is insane. I don't know how people with kids do it. CBA, I don't know how you do it.
Magic.
Just I can't imagine having any time to play games.
Ignore them. Ignore the children.
No.
It's just that's a big thing. Is that there's just. Well, and kind of like what you were talking about, Zach, like there's just so many different avenues of entertainment to consume right now. I mean, you mentioned Justified. That's a show I'd love to go back and give another chance to. I watched the first season and loved it. Could not tell you why I never went back to the second season.
Whoa, I did the exact same thing with Justified. I loved every minute of that show, and I just completely dropped it after season 1.
Yeah.
And it's not the only one. Star Trek Next Generation, I was talking about on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I was enjoying the first season, even though most people said you wouldn't.
Right.
But there's just something about me where I'm like, whew, I just got through 26 episodes. Do I really want to sign up for another 26?
And the answer should be yes.
Yes, especially because I'm liking it.
Right.
And what I saw season 2 of Next Generation was exceptional.
I go back and start How I Met Your Mother again or Game of Thrones again because
I'm watching Friends. I just finished Friends, and I'm already in season 2 again.
See?
That's a shame.
Well, a lot of it.
I hate it. I hate it about myself, CB. I hate it about myself.
Part of it, honestly, CB, is the time that I actually had to sit and focus on a show and actually pay attention to a show is at night before I go to sleep. If I'm just kind of like winding down, trying to fall asleep, but I have nothing else distracting me, I'm just watching. That's the only time that I will sit and just watch that show. And I never want to, when I get there, I don't want to start something new that I have to hardcore focus on because I'm trying to fall asleep. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm watching something like in the living room, I got my laptop out and I'm working. And I know that there's a whole argument to be said about that. But anyway, how do we get on that topic?
I just want to give you like my compartmentalized brain.
Yeah.
Because like I can watch an episode and be like 15 minutes in, pause, go to sleep, wake up, like work half the day, unpause the episode, and it feels like it's just continuing.
See, I can't do that.
If I don't hit the episode end, that's over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I will also say I cannot work and watch TV at the same time, really. That's why Friends is vital, because I'm not really paying full attention.
That's what I'm saying. Like if it's something like that I know every episode backwards and forwards, and I can just like focus and have it on the background, almost like I'm listening to it more than I'm watching it. But yeah. Anyway, David Newman had another comment that I thought was interesting. He said, sometimes it's loss of interest, in which case I rarely go back to it. I'll sometimes go back to longer open world games if I've lost interest after many hours and just need a break. Assassin's Creed Odyssey was an example of this. Took a break for about a year and jumped back in and enjoyed the rest of it. Sometimes I get frustrated by a game and just feel like I need to take a break. I try to go back and play those games, but sometimes it feels pointless because I've forgotten so much. Great example is Sekiro. I want to go back, but I feel I'd have to start over, and I don't really want to restart my whole progress. A lot of times, it's a new game or a game I've been wanting to play comes into my possession, and I just get distracted from the other game. Jedi Fallen Order has fallen into this category for me, as it's a game I want to play, but something new comes out that I want to talk about with others that prevents me from playing Fallen Order. He had a lot to unpack there, but his bit about getting frustrated with a game or stopping halfway through and not wanting to start over, for me, a lot of times my favorite part of a game is the opening part of a game. I don't know why. I've been the same way with movies. I love the character development, the setup, and everything in movies or books, TV shows, and games.
That's why I can watch an infinite amount of superhero origin movies.
Right, because that's like the fun part of it. And the beginning of a game is always where you get a lot of that, especially if it's the first game in a series.
Yeah, I mean, Ocarina of Time. What an opening!
Oh man, we keep talking about that game. I need to go back and replay that game. But you get over that hump, and then things start to feel repetitive. And I feel like as I get older, I have less patience for the repetitive nature of things, and I'm starting to crave those 8 to 12 hour games, which I know you're going to talk about here shortly. But but also it's the FOMO. We talked about that a little bit last week. The fear of missing out. When everybody else is talking about something, you want to go see if you have the same experience and be part of the conversation. And I think that's a big reason why games get put on the back burner for me, is I want to be part of the conversation for whatever newest, latest, best thing is coming out, and everything else just kind of gets put to the wayside. I mean, look how excited I was for Cyberpunk and Avengers and Assassin's Creed. For God's sake, I haven't finished an Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah, that's a weird one. That's a bizarre one for you.
Yeah. Like, this is the first Assassin's Creed game that I haven't finished besides Revelations.
That still blows my mind, because as much as you and I talk about Assassin's Creed, like the fact that you haven't even touched this one.
No, I got to London.
Okay.
But I mean, that's like barely scratching the surface.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot to unpack. So.
Oh, yeah. And I really want to, because especially, you talked about the ending, but I don't want to go YouTube and watch the ending because I feel like I didn't earn it.
I was about to say, if you YouTube that ending, I'm going to be mad.
I YouTube the ending.
Well, I'm okay with you.
Well, I tell you what, I only do the modern day stuff. It's not like I watched the Divorce ending. But I know at this point, the only thing I want out of Assassin's Creed is the modern day storyline. I'm not going to play 100 hours to get the 3-minute cutscene at the end.
Interesting. Let's move on. What do you do about your list of games that you never finished? Do you end up going back to them? And if you do, how do you prioritize which games to tackle? Zach, let's start with you.
Well, I mean, Caramel Bear here says some smart stuff.
Caramel Bear or Caramel Bear?
Caramel.
Caramel? Okay.
I used to work in a caramel shop.
A caramel?
This is what Caramel Bear says. This is why I stand with Zack, Mr. E3 Parkerson, that's me, by the way, where it comes to a sweet spot for an 8-hour to max 12-hour game, because you get exactly what you need at a nice, steady pace. You're able to finish the game, move on, and focus on the next one without worrying about that backlog building up. It's getting to the point where I've slowly stopped following new releases because it's just gotten to be too overwhelming. Gaming is supposed to be an escape, and if we start feeling overwhelmed with backlogs, 120 plus hours of gameplay, then why bother using games as an escape anymore? I think that's I feel like this with new releases often. Not so much in the COVID times, because there just haven't been a lot of them. But I feel like this happens to me all the time, where it's just like, Cyberpunk, right? Even before even before the writing was on the wall. There's this game like, oh, this looks exciting, this looks great, like I want to play it because everyone's going to be playing it, but like, if I play it, then I'm giving up 120, I'm giving up 100 hours in other games as well. And I want to play all these other games that are coming out because I want to be part of the discussion. And it's just easier to be like, I'm just not even going to play Cyberpunk at all.
But wasn't that a 20-hour game?
What?
25, 30 for the main story.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I heard that one was shorter than
The point or The Witcher,
The Witcher. Oh, man.
Right. It's just if I give up The Witcher, then I can play 4 other games around it that are also being talked about.
Yeah, but just like your Justified comment from earlier, we liked Justified, and we gave up on it. I liked The Witcher.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know why I gave up once I got to Skellige, or got off Skellige, whichever. I don't even remember. That's how long it's been.
I didn't even get that far.
Yeah, there was just so much to do, and the story was great. That whole Baron story was awesome.
Everybody loves the Bloody Baron.
And but I felt so overwhelmed by just the sheer length of that game.
I think it's because you reach a point, especially like, maybe like a narrative break where like, oh, this plot thread has been resolved.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel closure on this. Why, if I get out now, I'll still feel like I accomplished most of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then yeah, I didn't get the tail end of it, but I got most of the experience. It's just
This is a totally weird analogy, but I had an argument with one of my student teachers this past week. We were having a conversation with my students about whether or not to make your bed, and I was like, I think it's really stupid to make your bed because you're just gonna mess it up as soon as you lay down in it later. And one of the girls said, one of the student teachers, they're like observing my classroom to learn how to be a teacher, and she said, like, I disagree. I think that if you make your bed every single day, that is one small thing that you accomplish that day. If the rest of the day goes to crap, you at least accomplished that one thing in making your bed. And that kind of made me think, and that kind of relates to what you're talking about. Like, I accomplished that one side mission. I'm good for the rest of the game.
right. I saw the Bloody Baron story.
Yeah.
It's probably not going to get better than this anyway. I can go check something else out.
Yeah. And I've never heard anybody else say any other part of the game that was ridiculously awesome. Just that the game was, like an Assassin's Creed type thing.
Even people were like, it's my favorite game ever, especially the Bloody Baron part.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
That story was really, really cool. CB, what about you?
Yeah. For me, like, I can tend to break games down into episodes.
Like, because you can just come back to a game and just remember where you left off, and it's not a problem.
Yeah, I mean,
me and Zack can't do that apparently.
Days Gone, that is a big one for me because I still haven't finished that game, but I will boot it up every now and then, play an hour and a half,
right?
Shut it off. So it's essentially like watching a mini movie because I'll finish like a nice story beat, and then just get back to it. And I've done that with a few games, but I mean, there's a lot of games that I'll just keep like plowing through.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Days Gone, if you don't mind me interjecting,
no, go ahead.
Is an open world game, right? Which is typically not something I like, and it's also 60 hours. But I know one of the common criticisms of that game is they keep the zombie horde stuff for almost 40 hours into the game. But that's probably part of why I actually like that game, is because you don't get all of the open world stuff right away. It does kind of you kind of get everything pretty slowly. You don't really see the whole picture of the game until nearly the end.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Does it feel linear early on?
I don't know if it feels linear.
Kind of. I mean, the story does, at least.
Yeah, it doesn't really have a lot of side stuff until later. It does kind of widens as it goes along slowly.
Yeah.
Huh.
Which I had not thought about.
That's interesting.
It does do a good job with that.
Great game.
But World Reaper from Discord actually brings up a good point for me that I have a hard time with, especially when it comes to completed games. World Reaper, for me, when I fizzle out of a game is when and it enters into the uncompleted backlog. It usually is because I have a big open world game. I will take up to the last like one or two story missions, then go around and try to finish every other side quest or collectible. It's usually here that I fizzle out and never get back to finishing the story. I'm in this boat currently for both Horizon Zero Dawn and Shadow of War.
Really? I don't have that problem at all. That's the best part, man.
That's why I stopped playing Shadow of War. I actually got to a point that I'm like, I'm near the end, but I want to like find out like all the little, because I love like the Tolkien universe.
Right.
So I was like trying to go around and like finish all that up, and I don't think I've booted up that game since.
But see, for me, the reason that I do all that side stuff is to build up my character so that I go into the final act of the game feeling like a god. You know what I mean? And that's
I hate that feeling.
You hate that feeling, like feeling like a god?
Yes, I do.
Really?
I want you, especially for the final act. I want you to struggle.
Man, for me, that just like feels like it's all worth it. Like I earned this.
See, to me, it was I didn't get hit by Ganon once in the final fight of Breath of the Wild, and I was like, "This is a joke."
Oh, because you did all the 4 Guardians.
Yeah, I did everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for like I've had this problem with a few games, and then I go back like months later and just finish the game.
Like what? Give me one example you did finish.
Horizon Zero Dawn was one.
All right.
Like I played through a good chunk of that game. Miles Morales, I took a break from that for a little bit, and then went back and finished. Red Dead Redemption 2.
You did finish that?
Yeah, I finished it. I'm done with that game.
Man, I put like 20 hours in that game.
I struggled all the way through that game, but I'm trying to think of some other ones. But every now and then, like I come across those same types of games where I don't care. I plow all the way through. Assassin's Creed, Far Cry 5. I could not stop playing that game because of the story.
I'm with you. But that formula also clicks with me. Well, the
Very
Assassin's
true.
Creed formula clicks with me too, and I've put like 2 hours into Valhalla.
Yeah. Surprisingly, one of the games to this day I still haven't finished because I hit a wall.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another problem for me. It's like when I hit a wall. Catherine didn't finish it because the puzzles got a little too difficult for my brain at the time, and
We should sit down and play through that game together.
I love that game.
Like
the
the
story
I
is
love
super
that
weird.
game.
Now that's not a game to play with your wife.
No,
Definitely not.
God, no.
No,
No, but I mean,
but yeah.
it'd be fun to that'd be a fun pass the controller game.
You're gonna have that control in your hands a lot.
Oh, you don't like that game?
No. It's there's parts of that game that I just utterly suck at.
It's not even a platformer. I guess it's kind of a platformer, isn't it?
It's a puzzle platformer.
Puzzle,
That's
yeah.
puzzle.
It
So-
takes a minute to wrap your head around how that game works too, but once it clicks, man, it's just oh man, that was a good.
It's fun. I enjoyed
It's
it.
been almost 10 years since that game came out.
I know.
We should do that. We should do that one of these nights.
I have the full body experience.
Oh, that's right. The PlayStation one that's got the extra third character.
It's also on Switch.
Ah, okay. Well, that's harder to stream, but
Very true.
we could. Anyway, I don't really have a system. I just somebody mentioned it, and I can't remember. Was it David or Daniel who was talking about how somebody brings up? It talks about it as kind of like the fear of missing out kind of thing. That's why I'm going back and playing Spec Ops. I mean, sure, we're doing a Patreon episode on it, but it was on sale for $5, and we were like, we should do an episode on that. Boy, I forgot how good that game was. Now we're talking about it, so I want to be part of that conversation again. Not necessarily even just like for a Patreon episode, but just it's fun to go through and experience an old game when you have someone else that just experienced it again with you recently. Like if we all jumped back into the original Borderlands, that would be so much fun for me. I would love to go back into that world again, especially since Zack likes that one the best.
I was gonna say that would be an insightful game to return to. Actually,
That is a backlog game for me.
I've
Never
got it
beat it.
sitting right here on Xbox.
I know.
Do you own it on Xbox?
It's downloaded on my Xbox. I've just never got
The
around to playing
remastered
it.
original?
Yep.
All right. So
The only Borderlands game I've ever finished was Tales from the Borderlands.
that's the best one.
that is a pretty good game. Dude, the finger gun scene in that game was just freaking brilliant. I love that so much.
Oh man, I love when your main guy is like he and the younger sister of the other heist lady
Uh-huh.
are like starting to hit it off. And I don't know. There's a lot of good romantic comedy in that game.
Man, that makes me want to go replay that one. But seriously, let's play Borderlands. I have a physical copy. You said your Xbox is set up now, right?
Yes.
So I have a physical copy I could send you, Zach, and CB and I can play digitally. Since you guys won't play Borderlands 3 with me, let's at least go back and play the original Borderlands.
I will play Borderlands if you both watch season 2 of Justified.
Well, I'm going to have to start at season 1 again because I don't remember
No
what.
way. No, you can just jump into season 2. Come on now.
Yeah, you can jump right in. That formula works so
I can't
well.
do it. It's not like, I've been wanting to start Justified again anyway, so. It's been a decade since I've watched that show, man.
It's so good.
I think I watched season 1 last year. I think I'm okay jumping into season 2.
Yeah, you'll probably be fine. It's been a long time for me. Here's what I would, in my head, what I would like to do is I would like to make a list, like a spreadsheet of the games that that I haven't finished that I want to finish, and then somehow make a priority list.
Yeah, well, I mean, you already do have a list on Xbox.
Right, but I'm talking about Xbox and PlayStation and Switch, and like just make a list of all these games that I never finished, and then start coding them, like which ones I'm never going to finish this one, so that goes to the bottom.
I think that's a fool's errand, honestly.
Why?
Well,
you're going to spend more time making that list than just play the game.
Daniel Gilmour said, where he goes back to a game based on a mood or a conversation he has. Like that's the reason I chose Vampire over Greedfall, because I was like, oh, I am in a bit of a spooky mood.
Right.
I
think you're underestimating how much I like to make spreadsheets, though.
Hey man, I got a huge list of TV shows I need to finish. Like I do get it. I'm a list guy, not a spreadsheet guy, but I do get it.
That's right. Whenever we go to press events, you're always with your little notebook and a pencil, and I'm like typing out notes on my phone.
Yeah.
I hate lists.
Oh.
Hate them.
I love checklists.
I feel that I've wasted more time making a list than if I would have just done it in the first place.
Well,
because now I'm sitting here like scrolling through. Oh, did I finish this game? Check. Scroll through.
See, I love checking things off of lists, man. I love it. There's something so satisfying about being that's done. Scratch it out the list.
Gung ho, let's go.
I use the app on my phone. I have you're not an iPhone guy, but there is a reminders app on iPhone. I have literally set reminders daily, like to take my vitamins. That pops up every day, and until I take my vitamins, I keep getting an alert that says, "Take your vitamins." And then once I take my vitamins, boom, I check it off, and it just pops up automatically the next day.
That sounds like madness and insanity.
I have several of those daily. I love checklists because I feel accomplished when I check something off.
If somebody put that into my phone, I would throw my phone into a blender and hit puree.
I will tell you, I'm getting real close to turning off some Twitter alarms.
Yeah.
Like I have a couple that I follow and I seriously get, alerts 30 times.
I know the ones you're talking about.
I'm getting real close, but some of it's like vital information, so I don't know. Anyway. I didn't put this question on the format, but what is the next game on your guys' backlog that you'd like to actually finish? Not just like start up, but actually finish. I feel like I told mine already. Mine was Immortals Phoenix Rising, which, how long is that? 40?
30,
okay.
30, 40.
Doable. All right.
Yeah, it's a week game.
As in week being a length of time, not a week game.
Business week.
Okay.
A Monday to Friday kind of game.
Yeah. Zach, you go ahead. Like I have to process this one for a second because the list is large.
Yeah, in terms of I guess like long-term backlog, the game I want to play most and finish is Mortal Kombat 11 because I want to do that in time of the movie, but. It's like $50 for the normal version or $60 for the ultimate version. It feels like a lot for a game that I'm only going to do the story of.
Yeah, if you're competitive, it's a different story.
So I really think I'm going to jump into Greedfall.
I'd be interested to hear what you think of that one. Didn't Bob do that one for us?
Yes, he did. He liked it, as I recall.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like the only developer left making those KOTOR Mass Effect style BioWare games is, because BioWare sure doesn't anymore, is Spiders. So I really want to play Greedfall.
All right.
I think.
CB, you got one yet?
I got a couple.
All right.
As far as like I want to finish within like the next month. Hades. Is up there for me.
Man, if they were coming to Xbox, it'd make it a lot easier for me.
I know. But yeah,
it's perfect
Hades,
on Nintendo Switch.
Yeah. Kingdom of Amalur: Re-Reckoning.
Oh, you know, I looked for that one when I was looking for the RPG to play, but I do not. I thought I owned it. I did not own it.
Yeah, those are two up there, and I guess I will have to add Borderlands to that list.
Let's do it, guys. Borderlands 1. I need to send you the copy.
Okay.
All right.
I I can tell you I have more enthusiasm to play Borderlands 1 than I do for Borderlands 3.
All right. I would be down for doing that. And that could be because the three of us finding time together will be a little difficult, but we could just pick at that game every once in a while.
Let's see, or we can even be like, Thursday nights or something like that.
Yeah, let's do something. Let's do it.
Oh.
Well, Thursday night's D&D night, but
Thursday night's D&D night.
Just use an example, man. Didn't mean it was set in stone.
well, we could do every other Thursday night. Anyway,
D&D every other Thursday.
Yeah, we only do it every
D&D
other,
is every other
week.
Thursday.
Okay. Yeah, it's a useless conversation on the show.
Well, thanks to everybody for all the comments. It was a fun topic, and it seemed very apt considering the times right now. Next week's topic is still yet to be determined, so be sure to stay tuned on the social media outlets for that. But that is going to do it for this episode of The Gaming Outsider. Zach, any parting words before we get out of here?
I did watch Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yes, I knew that was going to happen.
And it not only met, but it exceeded my years of expectations.
Yeah?
It is extraordinary.
I still have yet to watch it.
I think you would like it.
I will watch it.
A lot of reviews and stuff kind of compare it to Lord of the Rings. I think that is apt in terms of scope.
Like the extended cuts, you mean?
No, like just in terms of tone, it feels more epic than a superhero film usually does.
Okay.
Like it feels very grand. But yeah, it's one of the best movies I've ever seen.
Awesome.
So, I'll tell you.
I'm looking forward to watching it. I've heard good things as well. CB, how about you?
Speaking of Lord of the Rings, I've actually taken an interest in learning the backstory of the first and second age.
Really?
So
Okay.
I started acquiring some of the older books, and I'm going to be reading through those this year.
Interesting.
So
you and your hobbies.
I told you I wanted to read like 20 books this year.
Yeah.
And so I've read a few like science related things. So I'm like, I got to mix it up. And one of the things that's always interested me is like all the backstory
Right.
for Middle Earth, because it started with just watching a couple YouTube videos. And I'm like, wow, this stuff seems pretty insane. Like why weren't these as big?
Right.
So I have to read through those and find out why that never really took off.
If I read one of the Song of Ice and Fire books, does that count as 2 books or 3 books?
No.
Come on.
Nope.
So if I read like one little 8-hour book, it's the same as reading a 37-hour book.
If you complete one 60-hour game, it's the same as completing one 6-hour game.
It's like Gimli on Lord of the Rings. It still only counts as one.
Yes, yeah, very much.
Yep. As for me, I actually did something interesting today. I've been exercising, so I had this motivation to go watch the original Rocky, Sylvester Stallone. And growing up, I always watched Rocky 3 and Rocky 4 because those are still they're just very entertaining antagonists.
Rocky 4 is a not so subtle Cold War thing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I actually watched all 4 of them today. But the original one is one I tried to watch as a kid, and I was just bored to death when I was a kid. And now that I'm 40 years old, I sat down and watched it and realized what an awesome flick that first one is.
Oh, yeah, it's a great one.
It's like a really good drama. I mean, those movies are just as much about the drama as they are about the actual fights. So I would encourage you, if you have not in a while, go back and watch the original Rocky. It's on HBO. It's quite entertaining, and it was kind of fun. I had never seen, I don't remember him actually wooing Adrian, which was kind of interesting to see because I'd only seen them as a couple in the later movies. So
Go Adrian.
Yeah. Man, I still love Rocky 4. Rocky 4 just gets me pumped up.
Break him.
Oh.
I had to watch that movie. I had to watch Rocky 4 in film class.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's a weird movie to pick for a film class.
It was because of the how blatant the political messages were.
Oh, yeah. If
Which
I
is
can
how-
change, and you can change,
Yeah.
then everybody can change. Yeah. Well, guys, thanks so much for being here. It was a good chatting with you. Good to have us all 3 back together once again. We'll let you know if we're going to keep you, if we're going to bring Alyssa back.
Right. Yeah, we'll alternate you until we decide.
I'm
I
just
guess
kidding.
so.
And thanks to everybody out there for listening. Just want to remind you that The Gaming Outsider is produced by Nate Lucas, and all the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemage and Metroid Metal. His website is stemagemusic.com. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Zach Parkerson and Chris Behrensmeyer, and we are The Gaming Outsider. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.